Marcus Chen stepped off the transport ship and onto Kepler Station for the first time. The massive space station stretched out in all directions, its walls made of some kind of crystal that seemed to glow with soft blue light. Everything looked so different from Earth. The corridors were wide enough for 10 people to walk side by side, and the ceiling was so high he could barely see it. He pulled his heavy duffel bag over his shoulder and started walking. The bag was packed with clothes and books from Earth, and it weighed about 60 pounds. On Earth, that was normal for Marcus. He had been carrying heavy things since he was a kid. But here on the station, he noticed something strange. Other students were staring at him. A group of tall, thin aliens with blue skin walked past him. They had 4 arms each and moved very slowly, like they were floating through water. When they saw Marcus carrying his bag, their big black eyes went wide. They whispered to each other in a language that sounded like music, then quickly moved away. Marcus did not understand why they looked scared. He was just walking normally. Maybe they had never seen a human before. Earth had only started sending students to galactic schools 5 years ago. Marcus was one of only 12 humans at this school. The school was called the Galactic Education Consortium. It was supposed to be the best school in this part of the galaxy. Students came here from dozens of different planets and star systems. Marcus felt lucky to be chosen, but he also felt nervous. Everything was so big and strange. He found his dormitory building after walking for 20 minutes. The building was shaped like a spiral, with rooms going up and up in a curve. His room was on the 15th floor. When he got to his door, he pressed his hand on a scanner. The door opened with a soft sound like wind chimes. Inside, the room was split into 2 parts. One side had furniture that looked normal to Marcus, a bed, a desk, and a closet. The other side looked very different. The bed was more like a nest made of soft, glowing material. There were several small pools of water scattered around. Strange plants grew from the walls. A voice spoke from the strange side of the room. "Hello, are you my new roommate?" Marcus looked around but did not see anyone. Then something moved near the pools of water. It looked like a small tree with 4 eye stalks sticking out from the top. The eyes were looking at Marcus, but they kept moving around like they were nervous. "Hi," Marcus said. "I'm Marcus Chen from Earth. Are you my roommate?" The tree-like creature made a sound like clicking. Yes. I am Zixtel from Centauri Prime. I did not know my roommate would be human." Marcus noticed that Zixtel's voice was shaking a little. "Is that a problem? I hope we can be friends." Zixtel's eye stalks moved around more. "Friends? Oh, I hope so too. But I must ask. Is it true what they say about humans? About your planet?" Marcus set down his bag on his bed. The bed made a soft sound under the weight. "What do they say?" "They say Earth is a death world," Zixtel whispered. "They say the gravity is so strong it would crush most beings. They say the air burns and the water is poison to most species. They say humans are the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy because you survived in such a terrible place." Marcus was surprised. He had never thought of Earth as dangerous. Sure, Earth had strong gravity compared to some planets, but that was normal to him. "Earth isn't that bad," he said. "I mean, it's home. We have nice weather sometimes. And pizza." When Marcus reached into his bag to unpack, Zixtel made a scared noise. Marcus was pulling out his clothes and books, but to Zixtel, it looked like Marcus was lifting impossibly heavy objects with one hand. The bag that Marcus carried easily would take 3 Centaurians working together to move. "By the 7 moons," Zixtel whispered. "You are so strong. No wonder other species fear humans." Marcus stopped unpacking. "People are afraid of humans?" "Oh yes," Zixtel said. His eye stalks were now pulled close to his body. "There are stories. They say humans can tear metal with their bare hands. They say human bones are harder than stone. They say humans never give up, no matter how hurt they are." This made Marcus sad. He did not want people to be afraid of him. He was just a normal teenager who liked video games and basketball. "I would never hurt anyone," he said. "Humans aren't monsters." "I believe you," Zixtel said quietly. "You seem nice. But tomorrow you have to go to physical wellness class with all the other students. They will see what you can do. I hope they understand that you are not dangerous." That night, Marcus lay in his bed thinking about what Zixtel had said. Through his window, he could see the stars and other planets. Everything was so beautiful and peaceful out there. But if people were afraid of humans, how could he make friends? How could he learn about other cultures if everyone ran away from him? He thought about his parents back on Earth. They had been so proud when he was chosen for the exchange program. His mom had cried happy tears. His dad had given him advice about being respectful to other cultures. Neither of them had told him that people might be scared of him. Marcus decided he would be extra careful tomorrow. He would move slowly and speak softly. He would show everyone that humans could be gentle. Maybe if he was careful enough, people would see that the stories about humans were wrong. But deep down, Marcus knew it might not be that easy. The way Zixtal had looked at him when he lifted his bag, it was not just curiosity. It was fear. And if his roommate was afraid of him, what would happen when he met hundreds of other students? He looked out at the stars again. Earth was out there somewhere, but it felt very far away. Tomorrow would be his first day of classes. Tomorrow he would find out what it really meant to be human in a galaxy full of beings who thought humans were monsters. Marcus closed his eyes and tried to sleep. In the morning, he would go to gym class. He would meet other students from across the galaxy, and whether he wanted to or not, he would show them what a human could do. He just hoped they would still want to be his friend afterward. Marcus woke up early on his first day of classes. Zixtal was already awake, floating in one of his small pools. His eye stalks were moving around nervously. "Good morning," Marcus said softly. He had decided to speak quietly so he would not scare anyone. "Good morning, Marcus," Zixtal replied. "Today is Physical Wellness Day. Are you ready?" Marcus was not sure if he was ready, but he nodded. He put on his gym clothes from Earth, shorts, a t-shirt, and sneakers. When Zixtal saw the shoes, he made a worried sound. "Those look very heavy," Zixtal said. "Are they made of metal?" Marcus looked down at his regular sneakers. They were just normal running shoes. "No, they're just sneakers. For sports." They walked to the gymnasium together. Along the way, Marcus saw many different types of students. There were the tall blue ones he had seen yesterday. There were small, round creatures that rolled instead of walking. Some students looked like they were made of living crystal. Others seemed to be floating balls of light. All of them stared at Marcus as he walked by. Some moved out of his way even though the corridor was very wide. Marcus tried to smile at them, but that seemed to make them more nervous. The gymnasium was amazing. It was huge, with a ceiling that looked like the night sky. Different sections had different gravity levels. Marcus could see areas with water for the aquatic species, and special platforms for the flying ones. The air smelled fresh and clean. Their instructor was waiting for them. She was tall and elegant, with skin that looked like tree bark and leaves for hair. Her name was Velandra, and she was from a planet called Silaria. "Welcome, students," Velandra said in a voice like wind through trees. "Today we will practice cooperative movement and mutual understanding. You will work in mixed groups to help each other succeed." She divided the class into teams. Marcus was put with Zixtal, two of the crystal beings, and a small furry creature that looked like a hamster with 6 legs. The crystal beings were named Shimmerfacet and Brightage. The furry one was called Pip. "Our first activity is a relay race," Velandra announced. "Each team member will run to the center of the gym, pick up an object, and bring it back. The goal is not to be fastest, but to help your teammates succeed." Marcus watched the other teams go first. The students ran very slowly compared to what he was used to on Earth. They moved carefully, like they were afraid of falling. When they picked up the objects, which looked like small metal balls, they used both hands and moved very slowly. When it was Marcus's turn, he tried to copy what he had seen. He jogged slowly toward the center, but even his slow jog was faster than the other students running. He reached the center in just a few seconds while his teammates were still far behind. He picked up one of the metal balls. It felt very light to him, like a ping-pong ball. He tried to carry it slowly back to his team, but his normal walking speed was still faster than everyone else's running. When he got back, his teammates looked shocked. "How did you move so quickly?" Shimmerfacet asked. Her voice sounded like tiny bells ringing. "I was trying to go slow," Marcus said. He felt embarrassed. The next activity was even worse. They were playing a game like soccer, but with lower gravity in that section of the gym. Marcus had played soccer on Earth, so he knew what to do. When the ball came near him, his reflexes took over. He jumped to catch the ball, but in the low gravity, his jump carried him much higher than he expected. He flew through the air for what felt like forever. Other students looked up at him with their mouths open. When he came down, he landed hard enough to make the floor shake. The worst part happened during the team sport. They were playing something like basketball, but the goal was made of delicate crystal and the ball was very light. Marcus volunteered to be the goalkeeper because he thought it would be safer. When an opponent from another team shot the ball toward the goal, Marcus's reflexes kicked in. On Earth, he had been on his school's basketball team. He knew how to block shots. He dove to catch the ball just like he had done hundreds of times back home. But here, everything was different. His dive carried him 15 feet through the air. He crashed into the crystal goalpost, which shattered into a million pieces. The sound was like 1,000 wind chimes breaking at once. The entire gymnasium went silent. Every student, every instructor, every floating creature stopped what they were doing and stared at Marcus. He was lying in a pile of broken crystal, completely unhurt but covered in glittering pieces. Marcus stood up slowly. "I'm sorry," he said. "I didn't mean to break it," some students screamed. Others backed away from him. A few of the more delicate species actually fainted. Marcus felt terrible. He had been trying so hard to be gentle, but he had just proved that humans really were dangerous. Belandra floated over to him. Her face was kind but worried. "Are you hurt, Marcus?" "No, I'm fine," Marcus said. The crystal had not hurt him at all. His skin was not even scratched. This made the other students gasp even more. What Marcus did not know was that the crystal goalpost was supposed to be nearly indestructible. It was made from materials that could survive meteor impacts. The fact that he had broken it just by running into it and that he was not hurt made him seem impossibly strong and tough. "Class is dismissed," Belandra announced. "Marcus, please stay behind." As the other students left, Marcus heard them whispering. Some of them sounded scared. Others sounded amazed. A few sounded angry. He caught words like dangerous and monster and Deathworlder. When everyone was gone, Belandra sat down next to Marcus. "Tell me," she said gently, "on your world, are you considered strong?" Marcus thought about it. "I guess I'm average," he said. "I played sports in school, but I wasn't the best player or anything." Belandra's leaf hair rustled with surprise. "Average? You just broke a barrier that was designed to stop military vehicles." "I really didn't mean to," Marcus said. "I was just trying to catch the ball." "I believe you," Belandra said. "But Marcus, I think you need some individual training before you join group activities again. Not because you did anything wrong, but because we need to understand your capabilities better." Marcus nodded sadly. He had wanted to make friends and learn about other cultures. Instead, he had scared everyone and broken something expensive on his first day. As he walked back to his dorm, students moved out of his way in the corridors. Some pointed at him and whispered to their friends. By the time he got to his room, Marcus felt like the loneliest person in the galaxy. Zixtal was waiting for him. "How did it go?" he asked hopefully. Marcus sat down on his bed, which creaked under his weight. "I think," he said quietly, "everyone is going to be afraid of me forever." The next few days were the hardest of Marcus's life. Word about what happened in gym class spread through the entire station like wildfire. Students who had not even been there knew every detail of how the human had destroyed the indestructible crystal goal. Everywhere Marcus went, conversations stopped. In the cafeteria, he would walk toward a table and everyone sitting there would suddenly find reasons to leave. He started eating alone while dozens of eyes watched him from safe distances. Even the food service robots seemed nervous around him, beeping anxiously when he approached. Marcus tried to act normal, but it was impossible. When he reached for a drink dispenser, 3 students nearby jumped back like he was going to attack them. When he accidentally dropped his backpack in the library, the loud thump made everyone in the building look up in terror. His classes were not much better. Teachers spoke to him carefully, like he might explode at any moment. Other students would not sit near him. During group projects, he was always left without a partner. Even Zixtal seemed more nervous around him now, though he tried to hide it. "Maybe I should just go home," Marcus said one evening as he stared out their window at the stars. "I'm making everyone miserable." "No," Zixtal said firmly. "You belong here too. People are just scared because they do not understand." But Marcus was not sure if understanding would help. How could he explain that he was just a normal human, when being a normal human apparently made him a walking weapon? Everything changed on Thursday. Marcus was sitting alone in the cafeteria trying to eat his lunch while ignoring the stares when someone sat down across from him. Marcus looked up, expecting to see another empty chair after the person realized their mistake. Instead, he saw a creature unlike any he had met before. The being was about Marcus's size but covered in dark green scales that seemed to shift color in the light. He had a reptilian face with intelligent yellow eyes and sharp teeth that showed when he smiled. His muscles were clearly visible under his scales, and he moved with the confident grace of a predator. "You are the human," the creature said. His voice was deep and rough like gravel. Marcus nodded nervously. "Yes, I'm Marcus. I am Coryx of the Draknari," the scaled being said. "I have been watching you." Marcus had heard of the Draknari. They were one of the few species in the galaxy known for being warriors. Their planet had high gravity and dangerous predators, much like Earth. But unlike humans, they were respected for their strength instead of feared. "Watching me?" Marcus asked. Coryx leaned forward. "The other students tell stories about you. They say you are incredibly strong. They say you broke the crystal barrier without trying. They say you moved faster than their eyes could follow." Marcus sighed. "I didn't mean to scare anyone. I was just playing the game." "Exactly," Coryx said, and his smile showed more teeth. "You were not even trying to show off. That makes me curious. How strong are you, really?" "I don't know," Marcus said honestly. "I'm just normal for a human." Coryx made a sound like a growl, but Marcus realized it was laughter. "Normal for a Deathworlder, you mean? Tell me, Marcus of Earth, would you be willing to prove your strength?" Marcus felt his stomach drop. "What do you mean?" "I challenge you to a contest," Coryx said loudly enough for nearby tables to hear. "Strength, speed, endurance. A fair competition between warriors from dangerous worlds." Students at other tables started whispering excitedly. Some pulled out their communicators to record what was happening. Marcus could see words spreading through the cafeteria like ripples in a pond. "I don't want to fight anyone," Marcus said quickly. "Not a fight," Coryx clarified. "A competition, sports, tests of ability." "Unless you are afraid." Marcus was afraid, but not for the reason Coryx thought. He was afraid of hurting someone, or breaking something else, or making people even more scared of humans. But when he looked around the cafeteria, he saw something that made him pause. The other students were not just scared anymore. They looked excited. Some seemed curious. A few were even making bets on who would win. For the first time since his first day, people were not looking at him like he was a monster. They were looking at him like he was interesting. "When?" Marcus asked. Coryx's smile got wider. "Tomorrow's physical wellness class. Instructor Valandra has already agreed to supervise." That night, Marcus could not sleep. He kept thinking about what might happen. What if he hurt Coryx? What if he embarrassed himself? What if he proved that humans really were dangerous? He sent a message to his parents on Earth, telling them about his situation. His mother's reply came back within an hour. "Sweetheart, you can't hide who you are forever. These people are afraid because they don't understand humans. Maybe it's time to show them what we're really like. Not monsters, but not weaklings either. Show them our strength, and more importantly, show them our heart." His father's message was shorter. "Make us proud, son. But remember, being strong doesn't mean you have to hurt people. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is be gentle." Marcus finally fell asleep thinking about those words. The next morning, Zixtal was more nervous than Marcus had ever seen him. His eye stalks were twitching constantly, and he kept floating in circles around their room. "Are you sure about this?" Zixtal asked for the 10th time. "Coryx is a trained warrior. His people have been fighting for thousands of years." "I'm sure," Marcus said, though he was not sure at all. "Besides, it's too late to back out now." When they got to the gymnasium, Marcus was amazed by what he saw. The observation galleries were packed with students from every species. Some had come from other parts of the station just to watch. Teachers and staff members were there too. Even some of the senior students who Marcus had never seen before were floating in the upper galleries. Valandra was in the center of the gym, setting up equipment. She had clearly spent a lot of time preparing for this. There were strength testing machines, speed courses, and endurance challenges arranged around the space. "This is unprecedented," she announced to the crowd. "A formal competition between students from 2 high-gravity worlds. Medical teams are standing by and all safety protocols are in place." Marcus walked to the center of the gym. The crowd went quiet. He could feel hundreds of eyes watching his every move. Some students were recording everything. Others were whispering translations for friends who did not speak Galactic Standard. Coryx was already there, stretching his scaled muscles and testing his claws on practice equipment. When he saw Marcus, he nodded respectfully. "Are you ready, Deathworlder?" Coryx asked. Marcus took a deep breath. He thought about his parents' words. He thought about all the students who were afraid of him. He thought about what it meant to be human in a galaxy that did not understand humans. "I'm ready," he said. The gymnasium buzzed with excitement as Valandra explained the rules of the competition. There would be 3 main tests: strength, speed, and endurance. Each test would be done on equipment designed for high-gravity species, borrowed from the military academy section of the station. Marcus looked up at the observation galleries. Every seat was filled. Students who had been avoiding him all week were now leaning forward to get a better look. Some held recording devices. Others had small flags from their home worlds. A few enterprising students were even selling snacks. First test, Valandra announced. Strength measurement using standardized galactic equipment. The strength testing machine looked like a combination of a weight bench and a computer. It would measure how much force each competitor could generate in different movements: lifting, pulling, and pushing. The machine was designed to handle forces that could move small spacecraft. Korik stepped up first. His scaled muscles rippled as he positioned himself at the machine. The crowd cheered as he began his lifts. His reptilian face showed intense concentration as he pushed against the machine's resistance. The numbers appeared on a large display screen so everyone could see. Korik's lifting strength registered at 2,400 units, his pulling strength at 2,100 units, and his pushing strength at 2,600 units. The crowd made impressed sounds. For most species in the galaxy, even 500 units would be considered incredibly strong. Excellent performance, Valandra said. Those numbers would qualify you for advanced military training among most species. Korik stepped back, breathing hard but smiling confidently. He had set a very high standard. Now it was Marcus's turn. As he walked to the machine, the gymnasium became completely quiet. Even the ventilation system seemed to hush. Marcus could hear his own heartbeat. He positioned himself at the machine the same way he had seen Korix do it. The metal felt cold under his hands. He took a deep breath and began the lifting test. Something unexpected happened. Instead of straining and grunting like he had expected to, Marcus found the machine surprisingly easy to use. On Earth, he had worked out regularly at his school gym. This felt similar but lighter. He completed the lifting portion without really pushing himself. The display screen showed his numbers, 4,800 units, exactly double what Korix had achieved. The crowd gasped, but Marcus barely noticed. He moved on to the pulling test. Again, it felt almost easy. His numbers came up, 4,600 units. For the pushing test, Marcus finally had to put in some real effort. The machine's resistance reminded him of the heavy sled pushes he used to do with his football team on Earth. His final number, 5,200 units. The gymnasium was completely silent for a moment. Then someone started clapping. Soon the entire crowd was cheering and applauding. But Marcus noticed something different about this cheering. It was not the scared whispering he had gotten used to. It was genuine appreciation. What had surprised the audience was not just that Marcus was stronger than Korix. It was how he had achieved those numbers. There had been no dramatic effort, no roaring or aggressive displays. Marcus had approached each test with calm focus and perfect technique. His breathing had stayed steady. His movements had been controlled and precise. Remarkable, Valandra said, looking at the numbers. Those results would qualify you for heavy construction work on high-gravity military bases. The speed tests came next. This time, they would run courses designed to test reaction time, sprinting speed, and agility. The courses had obstacles, sharp turns, and targets that had to be hit along the way. Korix went first again. His reptilian build was clearly designed for speed. He moved through the course like liquid lightning, his claws gripping surfaces that other species would slip on. His scaled hide rippled as he twisted around obstacles. When he finished, his time was displayed, 47.3 seconds. Outstanding, Valandra said. That time would be competitive in galactic racing leagues. The crowd cheered for Korix. Marcus could see why the Draknari were respected throughout the galaxy. Korix was not just strong. He was graceful, skilled, and clearly had years of training. Marcus stepped up to the starting line. The course looked more challenging than anything he had done in high school track. There were walls to climb, gaps to jump, and spinning targets to hit with foam projectiles. When the signal sounded, Marcus began to run. Immediately, he realized he was moving faster than he had expected. The station's gravity was lighter than Earth's, and his Earth-trained muscles propelled him forward with surprising force. But instead of rushing blindly through the course, Marcus found himself falling into a rhythm he remembered from basketball and track. He had always been good at reading the court, seeing patterns, anticipating what would happen next. Now those same skills helped him navigate the obstacle course. He flowed around barriers, leaped over gaps, and hit targets with an accuracy that surprised him. Everything felt connected, like he was dancing instead of competing. When he crossed the finish line, he felt like he could have kept going for much longer. His time appeared on the display, 31.7 seconds. The crowd erupted in cheers. But again, Marcus noticed the quality of the sound. People were not just impressed by his speed. They were appreciating the way he had moved. Several students were replaying recordings of his run, pointing out specific moments where his technique had been particularly smooth. The final test was endurance. Velandra had set up a challenge that would test cardiovascular fitness, mental toughness, and the ability to maintain performance under stress. Competitors would have to maintain continuous activity for 30 minutes, switching between different exercises every few minutes. By now, both Marcus and Corix were breathing hard and sweating. The crowd had been cheering for both of them throughout the competition, but Marcus could sense that something had changed. The fear he had seen in people's eyes all week was gone. Instead, there was curiosity, respect, and even excitement. Corix started the endurance test with the same fierce determination he had shown in the other events. His warrior training was obvious as he pushed through exercise after exercise without slowing down. Even when Marcus could see that he was getting tired, Corix maintained perfect form and never gave up. After 25 minutes, though, Corix began to struggle. His movements became slower and his breathing became labored. At the 28-minute mark, he had to stop. He had given everything he had, but his body had reached its limit. The crowd gave him a standing ovation. Even though he had not finished, everyone could see that he had fought with courage and honor until the very end. Now it was Marcus's turn. He was tired too, but as he began the endurance test, he remembered something his track coach had always told him. Distance running is not about your body. It's about your mind. When your body wants to quit, your mind has to take over. Marcus started the test at a steady pace. He did not try to go faster than Corix had. Instead, he focused on breathing, on form, on staying relaxed. These were lessons he had learned during long training runs back home, when he had pushed through fatigue and discomfort to build his endurance. As the minutes passed, Marcus found himself settling into a zone he recognized from his best races on Earth. The exercises became automatic. His breathing stayed controlled. Most importantly, his mind stayed calm and focused. At the 28-minute mark where Corix had stopped, Marcus was still going strong. At 30 minutes, when the official test ended, Velandra asked if he wanted to continue just to see how far he could go. Marcus kept going for another 10 minutes before finally stopping. Not because he was exhausted, but because he felt like he had proven his point. When he finished, the entire gymnasium stood up and cheered. But the biggest surprise came from Corix himself. The Draknari warrior walked over to Marcus and did something that made the entire crowd gasp. He performed the traditional Draknari salute of respect between warriors, a formal bow with his claws extended and his head lowered. In Draknari culture, this salute was only given to someone who had proven themselves worthy of the highest honor. "You are truly a warrior," Corix said loudly enough for everyone to hear. "I am honored to have competed against you." Marcus did not know what to say. All week he had been afraid that people would think humans were monsters. Instead, he had somehow earned the respect of one of the galaxy's most respected warrior species. As the crowd continued to cheer, Marcus realized that something had changed forever. He was no longer the scary human that everyone avoided. He was Marcus, the competitor who had shown strength, speed, and endurance, but who had also shown control, respect, and sportsmanship. For the first time since arriving at the station, Marcus felt like he might actually belong here. The changes started immediately. As Marcus walked through the corridors the day after the competition, something wonderful happened. Instead of moving away from him, students approached him. Instead of fearful whispers, he heard excited conversations. "That was amazing how you moved through the speed course," said a small, furry student whose species Marcus had not met before. "Could you show me how to breathe like that during exercise?" asked one of the crystal beings from his gym class. Even Zixtal seemed different. His eye stalks were no longer twitching nervously when Marcus was around. Instead, he seemed proud to be Marcus's roommate. "Everyone is talking about you," Zixtal said that evening as they sat in their room. "But now they are saying good things. They are calling you the respectful warrior and the gentle giant." Marcus felt relieved but also a little confused. "I don't understand why the competition changed everything. I'm the same person I was before." "No," Zixtal said thoughtfully. "You are the same person, but now everyone else understands who that person really is. Before they only saw your strength and they were afraid. Now they see your character too." The real changes became clear over the next few days. Students who had been avoiding Marcus started asking him questions about Earth, about human culture, and about his training methods. They wanted to know if all humans were like him, and what life was like on a death world. Marcus found himself becoming an unofficial ambassador for humanity. He told them about human sports, about how humans had learned to work together to survive on their dangerous planet, and about how humans valued fairness and helping others. But the most surprising request came from Valandra herself. "Marcus," she said after gym class one day, "I would like to speak with you about an opportunity." They sat in her office, which was decorated with plants from her homeworld. The walls seemed to be alive with growing vines and flowering trees. "The competition with Corax has raised some important questions," Valandra said. "For too long, our physical education programs have been designed only for low-gravity species. We have been limiting the potential of students from more robust worlds." Marcus listened carefully. "I would like you to help me develop new programs," Valandra continued. "Training methods that could benefit students from all types of worlds. You could work with our medical staff to create safe but challenging exercises for different species." Marcus felt excited about the idea, but also nervous. "I'm just a student. I don't know anything about teaching. You know about training, about pushing yourself, about achieving goals safely," Valandra said. "And more importantly, you know about encouragement and respect. Those are the most important qualities for a teacher." Marcus accepted the opportunity. Over the following weeks, he found himself working with students from dozens of different species. Each group had different needs and abilities, and Marcus learned as much as he taught. He helped Corax learn advanced training techniques from Earth that focused on building strength while preventing injury. He worked with the insectoid students to develop team sports that took advantage of their natural ability to communicate through chemical signals. He even helped some of the more delicate species build confidence by showing them that fitness was not about being the strongest, but about being the best version of yourself. The most rewarding part was seeing students who had been afraid of physical activity become excited about exercise and sports. Marcus remembered how intimidating gym class had been for some students back on Earth, and he was determined to make sure everyone felt included and capable. One of his favorite success stories was Pip, the small furry creature from his first gym class. Pip had always been too scared to participate in sports because he was so much smaller than other students. But Marcus designed special agility courses that played to Pip's natural speed and size. Soon Pip was not just participating, he was excelling. "You made me feel like I could be strong too," Pip told Marcus one day. "Not strong like you, but strong like me." That comment meant more to Marcus than all the cheering from the competition. The changes were not limited to the gym. Marcus's success as a teacher and mentor began to attract attention from beyond the station. He received messages from other schools asking about exchange programs with Earth. Military academies wanted to study human training methods. Even some planetary governments expressed interest in learning about human approaches to physical fitness and teamwork. But the message that meant the most came from the director of the Galactic Education Consortium herself. "Mr. Chen," the message read, "your example has opened new possibilities for human participation in galactic education. Based on your success, we are inviting Earth to establish permanent cultural exchange programs throughout the galaxy. You have shown us that humans are not the dangerous monsters some believed them to be, but rather valuable partners in building a better galactic community." The message went on to offer Marcus a full scholarship to continue his education at the consortium, with the option to study advanced physical education and interspecies psychology. There was also an invitation for him to help train other human students who would join the exchange program. That evening, Marcus sat in his room reading messages from his family on Earth. His parents were proud, of course, but they were most happy that he had found his place and made friends. His little sister had sent a video message that made him laugh. "My brother is famous across the galaxy. she said, grinning into the camera. But I still beat him at Mario Kart last time he was home. Zixtal floated over to him. You look happy, his roommate observed. I am, Marcus said. When I first got here, I thought being human was going to be a problem. I thought people would always be afraid of me. And now? Marcus thought about all the students he was working with, about the programs they were developing, about the bridges being built between Earth and the galactic community. Now I think being human is exactly what I was supposed to be, he said. Not because humans are better than anyone else, but because we all have something unique to offer. Humans happen to be good at some things: strength, endurance, adapting to challenges. But everyone else is good at other things that we need to learn. He looked out their window at the stars. Earth was out there somewhere, and soon more humans would be coming to join him. But he was also excited about visiting other worlds, learning from other species, and helping to build a galaxy where everyone's strengths were valued. Do you know what the best part is? Marcus asked Zixtal. What? I'm not the scary human anymore. I'm just Marcus, and that's enough. The next day brought a new group of students to his training session. There were species he had never seen before, with different needs and abilities. As he watched them warm up together, crystal beings, plant creatures, energy beings, and everything in between, Marcus felt a deep satisfaction. He had come to this station as an exchange student hoping to learn about other cultures. Instead, he had become a teacher, a mentor, and an ambassador. He had shown the galaxy that humans could be strong without being frightening, competitive without being cruel, and confident without being arrogant. Most importantly, he had learned that being different was not something to hide or apologize for. It was something to celebrate, to share, and to use in service of others. As his students began their exercises, laughing and encouraging each other in a dozen different languages, Marcus smiled. This was what the galaxy could be like when everyone's unique gifts were valued and shared, and it had all started with a simple gym class on his first day at school.